What you don't see is because of our higher
with our
resistance, we were
capabilities
able to
of
fight off
repairing
enemies a lot
kits
more better
without...
and
Well,
often, and
clearly we are
armor bag.
superior.
Howdy ho, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome. Payday 3, when it comes to its armor sets, are fairly good in their own ways. But ever since Armor 2.0 eventually came out, a lot of people has been discussing that whether or not the impact is very good or not. Now, I am someone that has been using the heavy armor since day one, and I always and still believe that the heaviest armor in the game is always the best. Even after the adaptive armor came out, a long time ago, I always believed that the heavy armor was still far superior than the adaptive armor for a multitude of reasons. But that's a different video for another different topic, so yeah. But let's go over with why is Impact exactly one of the worst armor plates in the entire game? Well, there's a lot of reasons as to why this is the case. But let's go over with each of the armor plates and what they do, what they're essentially good at their own roles. And then we'll talk about Impact. Let's go over with the resistance first. The resistance, despite not being able to regenerate itself fully, it is able to provide the highest damage resistance at a 60% rate. This is very good for a multitude of reasons. The reason number one is if you're surrounded by crowded of enemies and you're not able to get out, then your armor is going to sustain itself for a much longer period compared to adaptive or even impact. Secondly, it is also very good as a way to run out in the open to do a specific objective, whether it be like saving your teammate, repairing the drill, restarting the hack, or whatever. But it's also as a good way to sacrifice your armor as a way to like maneuver around, whether you're in like a really tough position and you want to like move somewhere else but you're not comfortable like fighting off like the crowded enemies. Resistance is also very good at that. But what makes it very powerful is the fact that it is very good against bulldozers. Specifically, you're able to kill off 2 bulldozers with 1 armor plate if you're very quick on your feet. Because it takes a very long time for a bulldozer to break 1 armor plate, that means that Hardy is going to activate much more later. Because it takes harder for them to break it, that means Hardy is going to activate much more later. So instead of like with adaptive where it activates a lot more quicker. So, resistance is also very good as a way to function as an emergency armor for whenever all of your other armor plates breaks. Because it kind of hits you with a reminder that, hey, you should be careful, otherwise you're going to be dead on your ass. So be fucking cautious next time. So yeah, but it's also very good because it does not reduce your downs and as well as has the shortest regeneration time of 1 second. But the only downside being is that it is not able to regenerate itself fully and it sort of has a trauma point, but it is able to be repaired with either a armor repair kit, armor bag, or with the armor up skill, which is a very good skill paired well with the resistance plate. The adaptive is simply good against crowded enemies. If you're quick on your feet, that is. If you're very good at killing enemies and in a very short manner, then adaptive is very good because as it's able to regenerate itself fully at the cost of, well, not being able to repair itself unless it is broken. The downside is that it provides less resistance, so those are going to shred your armor a lot more quicker than normal. So, yeah, be careful of that one. So they do have their differences. Adaptive is very good at keeping you maintained. Resistance is good for a whole bunch of things like objectives, dozers, and as an emergency armor and for a shorter like regeneration time and not reducing your downs. And what is it exactly Impact good at? You save extra points. That's neat, I guess. But you can also do that with the other armor. It's good against snipers, but then again, snipers is something that you should always be aware of, regardless of what. Yeah, Impact just doesn't have a role, except for being good against snipers and I guess saving up a few skills. I guess, like, is that really good? Not really, no. Like, good lord. Anyway, here's the thing about the Impact. The reason it is one of the worst in the game, it's because of the fact that, number one, it does not provide any damage resistance. It has literally 0 whatsoever, compared to Adaptive and Resistance, where they provide either 30 or 60%. And secondly, is that they reduce your downs and have the longest regeneration time of 30 seconds for each armor plate you put on. So yeah, not only you are literally messing yourself up entirely, but you're also becoming a somewhat of a burden on your team if you're even having more than 1 impact plate, because the regeneration time normally is at least 6 seconds if you have even 2 to begin with. And if you pair it with mercenary frame with all impact plates, and I don't know why players are even doing this in the first place. You are literally becoming a bit of a problem to your team. On like close quarter heist, it may not be that much of a noticeable thing, but on open heist or like heists that go on for a very long time and has a lot of spawn rates, then you are pretty much going to be very wrecked instantly. Those are your number one biggest enemy, which is also not a good thing, because dozers are going to shred you very quickly. And keep in mind, skills does not function with impact like Plate Up or Hardy for that matter. It does not function. But you might be thinking, well, if that's the case, then why not just use like armor repair kits? That's better, right? Than the other armor plates. Brother, so does resistance and so does adaptive. Even if you don't have clean slate, if you're very quick and you're very good at keeping track of your armor, you're able to regenerate your armor without a problem in the world. Specifically, it is amazing for the resistance plate. So, like, even if you decide to play passively and like play from cover to cover, but adaptive armor and resistance already does that better. So like, you might think that, oh, it's good for playing passively. So does adaptive and resistance, but they do a better job. And you might think, well, that they're probably good for like medtech frame impact. Brother, so does the fucking adaptive armor. And the only skill that you need is clean slate, and that's it, because you only have 1.5 second of regeneration time, and that's it. And yeah, because that 1.5 second regeneration time is enough for you to like go back, reload, and come out, and your armor is already regenerated. Like, you see where I'm going with this? Despite all the possibilities that you can think of, impact just has no role in the game. It's not good for completing objectives because you're very fragile. It's not good against like running out in the crowd doing an objective or saving your teammate or whatever, or like repositioning yourself. And it's not really good against like doses because of how fast you get shredded, because it doesn't pair well with certain skills. So what is it exactly good at? Again, the only good thing about it is the fact that you can save up extra bit of skills, but that's pretty much it. And is that extra bit of skills going to make a big difference? Not really. Even if you decide to use the impact as an emergency armor, like your last armor plate when the others are broken, it's still not very effective because of the fact that the regeneration time is literally long as shit. Like, one impact into resistance, you have like 5 seconds of regeneration time. Why have impact when you can literally have what's it called? The adaptive, shorter regeneration time, and have genuine resistance? Like, even as an emergency armor for whenever all of your armor plate breaks, it doesn't really have a use. And you might say that, oh, with the other armor sets, you kind of have to use armor bag. Not necessarily, no. Considering the fact that soft acid exists, and as well as hostages being, you can trade hostages away as a way to sort of get armor repair kits, it doesn't really matter. But you might think, oh, well, then it might be good with soft assets and being able to regenerate your armor. Brother, so does the adaptive and resistant. They nerfed the impact where you cannot like regenerate all of your armor back with a single armor repair kit. You can only repair one armor chunk. And so does resistant and adaptive, where they only regenerate one armor. Like, you see where I'm going with this? Resistance is very powerful paired well with soft assets because of its very high resistance, and because of the fact that you're able to constantly repair it, it's better than adaptive and impact. But that requires you to play with human shields, which is something that not a lot of people do or enjoy, but I do enjoy myself. And yeah, that's the problem with impact, is that there is no role with it. Like, sure, you're probably going to be able to like build more varieties with it, but then again, just use any of the other armor plates and don't grab skills, because they have such a short regeneration time that it doesn't really matter. Like, resistance has a 1 second regeneration time with the one plate, and the same with like adaptive, but only 1.5 seconds, and yada yada yada. Like, sure, the only skill that really pairs with impact is tank basic, and that's it. But even then, it's not really going to save you a lot. And even with overkill, the only good thing, maybe, the only good thing about it is that if you use the minigun with it, but then again, adaptive is better with minigun, but the resistance is the best with the minigun because of its shit ton of resistance. Because you can literally build like 40 armor increase from the minigun and still take more damage than adaptive and impact with full armor like stat increase. You see, like, I hope you're understanding like where I'm going with this. Impact just has no place in the game, honestly. And it's a shame that it is like this bad. Could they change it? Probably, but even if they do decide to change or like buff it in some ways, it's still going to be worse in certain ways. If I had to rework how the armor works, it would be that make it where it provides at least 5 or 10% damage resistance, at least a bit resistance. I would make it where it functions with armor up, plate up, and hardy, but make it where it has a lengthy cooldown. Armor up has a, what, like, say, 20-second cooldown, 30-second cooldown, or with, like, plate up has a 5-second cooldown, or even longer, and then hardy only gives you, like, 0.25-second cooldown, essentially, and that's it. That should be enough, and it could maybe have a purpose. That's it. But then again, even if that is the case, adaptive and resistant is still going to be extremely superior, which is kind of sad, honestly. And I've said this a few times towards people and as well as on some of my videos. I might have said it in my videos, but I don't really remember. But we do not need a Payday 2 style armor regeneration system because it doesn't fit with Payday 3. And it never will. Because it's kind of hard to balance it out when you have two armor plates that are different in their own ways. So why create a third that tries to like fit a role that doesn't even exist? Because one side already does a better job than the other one, and the other one already does a better job than the other one. They're both different in their own ways, so why create a third that is not even better than both sides? It doesn't even do anything besides, like, countering snipers, but that's it. That's the only good thing about the impact is, like I said, it's good against, like, snipers and, I guess, saving up skills. That's it. And even with Fortitude, you're better off just using Adaptive or Resistance. Resistance because it does not reduce your downs, and you're be able to make Fortitude the best at its maximum peak, because you have 5 downs. Oh, the whole point of this video is that Impact is just terrible. Like, it's good on its own. Here's the thing. I'm not saying that it will literally ruin your game, but if we're ranking these, like which one's the best, which one's the worst, Impact is just terrible, honestly. But it's not a bad armor. It's good, but it requires a lot of patience in changing your gameplay entirely. You have to be a pacifist, if that makes sense. Payday 3, on its own, kind of forces you to play cover to cover and a lot more carefully, unlike in Payday 2, where it's a lot more fast-paced, but with the Impact, you're forced to play as like a pacifist, if that makes sense. You're forced to literally stay in the back, not doing much. The funny part is that full mercenary frame with Impact has a longer regeneration time than the fucking base heavy armor in the game, which is really funny, honestly. But that's besides the point. But yeah, that is all I have to say. I'm sorry if you're an Impact armor user, but throughout my time of using every single armor set in the game, Impact is just not good. Honestly, like, it's more of a hindrance than an actual good use, because I can't fight dozers, and I can't fight consistently, and I'm forced to play like a coward, which is something I don't like. So, yeah, I'm sorry for Impact users if I saddened you, but this is the harsh truth. So, yeah. I just want them to buff it, but not make it too overpowered, honestly. And they need to really rework the damage resistance that both sides give, because the damage resistance is a bit too much. I'm gonna be honest with you, Chief. It's too much. And they kind of need to tweak the resistance play where it should passively on its own be able to regenerate like a portion of the trauma points, because it's kind of overpowered because it's good with mercenary frame, like it's the best armor set in the game. So, yeah. If I had to make a change to the mercenary frame where make the immunity effect be longer and have its, like, that's the base skill. Like, anytime you regenerate your armor, or, you know, you repair your armor in some ways, it gives you like a portion of an immunity, like a 1-second immunity if your armor regenerates on its own or with skills, or like a 3 or 4-second immunity if you refill your armor or repair it with an armor repair kit, and that's it. And the resistance plate should be able to like regenerate 1 point of trauma point as a passive skill. So, yeah, but then again, this is just an idea I'm suggesting, so yeah. That is all I have to offer. I'm sorry for this harsh truth. I hope you enjoyed this video. Take care of each other, treat each other with respect, show some love, kindness to one another. We are one big happy family. So, yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see each and one of you next time. I'm gonna go on a little bit of a break right now because I am going back home. So, yeah. I don't know when I'll be back, so adios. Take care of each other. Now get out of my house. Shoo.